Hi. Hey there. Hey. Hi. Excuse me. Hey. Hey there. Hey. Excuse me. Hey there.
Fallout 4 is baffling. It's flawed in so many ways, yet it is a definite improvement in many ways over Fallout 3 and even Skyrim, which only came out 4 years ago. It's improved dramatically in the visuals, audio, and the gameplay fluidity. Yet it has some of the most aggravating and painful writing, a completely fucking worthless dialogue system, and a massive lack of real choice. Hell, it doesn't even try to have fake choice a lot of the time. Fallout 4 has migrated towards a more proper FPS game and moved away from RPG elements. It's not to say it's not an RPG, just not as much as previous titles. VATS just turns into kind of a lazy shooting mode for higher level characters. It's not as required as much as it was in Fallout 3. The FPS mechanics are much more refined. You could play this entire game without even touching VATS just fine. It's not really a brilliant FPS, but it plays perfectly fine as a first-person shooter, something that I haven't really been able to say for any of Bethesda's previous titles. But Bethesda is great with building really wonderful worlds you continue to want to explore, and they create these great stories with the environments. In all the Bethesda games, a few things continue to ring true. They make worlds you keep coming back to, characters you often forget or can't stand, and a main questline you, in my opinion, really wish never existed. And nothing's really changed in that regard with Fallout 4, except those differences are brought to the extreme. Fallout 4's post-apocalyptic Boston is undeniably cool and well-crafted. While not as large-feeling as I wish it was, it still has a lot to find and explore. It has these neat little treasures and small backstories you can stumble across. But besides 2, maybe 3 characters out of hundreds, everyone's forgettable or just not really developed to a satisfying degree. There's Nick Valentine, Piper, who else? Maybe Kellogg, and only because the environment is how you learn about him in a really creative way. But honestly, I can't think of really anyone else. Sure, I mean, I can remember their names and what their 5-sentence arc was, but only really those 3 actually stuck out with me to any degree as having any sort of evolving mentality or relationship with me as the player. Companions react to what you do in the world. Some will like it when you steal, some will like it when you help others, some will like it for simply using power armor like Dance, some will like it when you use drugs like Hancock, and some will hate it when you use drugs like Kate. All of them have some sort of combination that is explained in dialogue, but don't think that it's really fleshed out because it's really not. It's just some sort of data table sitting somewhere in the files, listing what actions show up as liked, disliked, loved, or hated. And that's really all it comes to. When you fill up your invisible like meter, companions will approach you to reveal more about them to you. And these don't really feel organic so much as they feel so mechanical, because every companion has these 3 sections. First is them talking about how you are kinder than you first seemed and how lucky they are to be away from where they were. Second one is them describing their history before meeting you. And the last one is them either having some sort of hidden history where they want help in a quest for them to find something, or they have some personal dilemma they want you to chime in on. In each of these cases, the end of the conversation typically allows for you to charisma check, for you to flirt or finally romance. Except you can't romance some companions no matter how awesome they are because Bethesda. And regardless if you romance them, when you get to this height of the relationship, you get a perk specific to that individual. Things like higher damage resistance, more XP for charisma checks, better damage, etc. So there is a gameplay benefit to going through with it. And then there's the main quest line. I can't sugarcoat my feelings. It fucking sucks. It sucks so fucking much. It's somehow incredibly boring, while having some of the most interesting aspects of the world and lore. It takes such interesting backstory and possible conversations and dialogue, and boils them down into details that were understood within the first hours of the game. The first confrontation at the end of the game lets you ask questions about the details of the final character and the area, except the questions are so mind-numbingly basic and the answers were what you already figured out. It doesn't let you know more of the story, the characters, the history of the place that you're in, more than just the name of the place, what they do and where you fit in. And no, I'm not really summarizing that. The answers are effectively that short and lacking in real meat. So what do you guys do here? Well, since X, we've done this. Any other questions? The game has the possibility of providing really interesting lore and history of where you got to, and it just doesn't give you that. It gives you fucking nothing.
Real, tangible power. The kind that keeps them. With every advance the Institute makes, our need for raw power increases. Many compromises and sacrifices have been made over the years to allow progress to continue.
What kind of compromises?
We have at times had to rely on drawing power from above-ground installations. It risks personnel and equipment, but no longer. Phase 3 is simply the activation of a nuclear reactor that can provide enough power to the Institute now and forever. It will ensure not just our survival, but our prosperity.
Can you tell me more about this reactor?
Certainly. It was originally
So
built
much
for the
of what I really
Commonwealth
dislike, or
Institute
rather
of
hate about
Technology.
Fallout 4, ends up relating to the dialogue and the writing, like I've talked about. It's just so bad. The worst they've ever done. The game treats the player like an idiot. It assumes the player doesn't care about the story, which I don't typically, because it handles it so badly. And this handling of the story elements is handled so badly that when it does provide good backstory and character development, it cuts it off. And my only assumption is because it thinks the player doesn't care. Like I mentioned previously, companions, when they start liking you more during questing, will stop you to share more information about them. And while it's not really amazing by any means, it's actually nice. It's backstory and information on their past, how they got to where they are, them growing up, their challenges and troubles, and how traveling is with you, the player. And every single fucking time it gets interesting, they write in a, "Oh, but I've talked enough already. You don't want to waste your time."
Because they knew the truth. But hey, I'm sorry if I've been rambling. I just get fired up sometimes. It's just nice to talk to someone who actually seems to get it, you know? So, should we head out? But hey, thanks again for listening. It's a real weight off my chest to be able to talk it out with someone. So, you wanna hit the road?
I've seen people come up with saying, you can't say it has no choice because it technically does have choices in it. Just because it has less doesn't mean it doesn't have them. Which is true, it does have choice. It's just that none of them really matter.
Ground operative and someone who has had previous contact with the railroad. You are in the best position to carry this out. So what I'm getting at, simply, is this. Are you willing to destroy them?
Is this really necessary?
I'm afraid it is. I take no pleasure in it, but it must be done. For the sake of everyone in the Institute. And it must be done now. Are you willing?
There has to be another solution here. Something less violent.
I'm afraid the time for hesitation has passed. We must act decisively, and we must act now. Will you do it?
I won't do that to them.
Even knowing that they would kill all of us, you included, to get what they want. I'm sorry, but consider this an order. It must be done. I'll expect a report when they've been eliminated.
A clean and healthy work environment is essential to maximum productivity.
And so, the work is done. I am sorry. I know it was likely difficult for you.
You're confident the railroad is finished?
As confident as we can be. It was always a loose network. But with the key players gone, it's not impossible that they'll be back someday. But it will take them time. There is obviously...
It needed to be done, and so it's done.
Make no mistake. It's never that easy. Not for any of us. There is obviously one.
No, not a problem at all.
I regret that it came to this, even if you don't. There was just no way to compromise with those people. There is obviously one.
It was tough, yeah.
I assure you that there was no other way. Their fanaticism wouldn't have allowed it. There is obviously one final threat.
What is it? What's this last threat?
Well, perhaps it's not that obvious after all. The Brotherhood of Steel covets technology, and has made it clear that we cannot peacefully coexist. They will eventually come for us, and attempt to take what we've spent so long creating. We need to destroy them, before they can destroy us.
Sure. There's always one last thing.
You're not wrong, I suppose. There will always be issues that need to be dealt with, but this is something else entirely. The Brotherhood of Steel covets...
There's just no end to this, is there?
There is, and we've almost reached it. Just one last hurdle. The Brotherhood of Steel covets...
Whatever it is, we can handle it.
I believe so. The Brotherhood of Steel covets tech...
Destroy them? What exactly do you mean?
I mean we eliminate all Brotherhood forces in the Commonwealth. But the problem with the Brotherhood of Steel goes beyond the edges of the Commonwealth. It's not enough to destroy them here. There are more of them out in the world, Mother. And they too will come for us.
I don't know if that's a good idea. They're well fortified. Attacking them would be risky.
It's necessary. That's all that matters. But the problem with the Brotherhood of...
They can't reach us here. We wait them out and they'll go away.
If I truly thought that was possible, we wouldn't be talking about it. But no. They'll find a way to reach us. But the problem with the brother...
You're right.
I'm glad you... But the problem with...
You have something in mind if that happens?
I'd like to prevent it from happening in the first place. We will show them that if they interfere with us, the very technology they value so highly will be turned against them. We will teach them that we can appear at a moment's notice, wherever we please, and they cannot ever stop us. They will know better than to ever interfere with us again.
I don't believe that will happen. Teach them a lesson, and they'll stay away.
That is precisely my intent. We will teach them a lesson. We will show them that if...
So, even if we fight them here, eventually we're screwed.
Oh, not necessarily. We will show them that if...
We can defeat them now, we can defeat them again if we have to.
Possibly, yes. We will show them that if they...
So, we're just gonna attack them?
There's a plan that's a little more involved than that. Dr. Lee should be expecting you in her lab. She can fill you in on the details. Time is of the essence.
I don't know if we can pull that off.
I don't see that we have a choice. And with you leading the charge, how can we fail? Dr. Lee should be...
And if we fail, we're just making things worse for ourselves.
We won't. Dr. Lee should be...
You seem pretty convinced this will work.
The Institute is nothing if not thorough. Dr. Lee should... Time.
And none of these choices matter. The character will just respond with, no, there is no other way. We need to kill them.
Big. Besides, they have no way of knowing I was involved. Anyway, I guess I owe you a favor now. After all, you hired me, but I'm the one that dragged you out here.
You could give me back those caps I paid you.
I guess that's fair. And don't worry, I'll still stick with you.
Sure.
There you go. I guess we're done here.
You don't owe me. You clearly needed the help.
Sure, but I like everything to remain nice and even. And you're one up on me. Tell you what, I'm going to give you back the caps you paid me in Good Neighbor. I'll still stick with you because that was part of the original deal, but...
The game
No
sort of
worries.
treats you like a
There you go.
child.
I
Now,
guess
son,
we're
do you
done
want
here.
waffles, eggs and bacon, cereal, or oatmeal for breakfast? I'll have eggs and bacon,
I
Dad.
took care of the raiders
No,
that were harassing
you're
the
having
family you
oatmeal.
sent me to.
And then the
People
quest is
have
activated.
decided to join our
There was
cult.
no... There's no saying no in Fallout 4. You can't turn down quests. You just have the option of ignoring them. You walk by Preston Garvey in your settlement, he'll give you a few radiant quests as he walks by. You can't say no, you deal with it. You can't say no, let the bastards suffer. You can't say, send some men to help with them. Meanwhile, Preston and all his men do nothing in the settlement. They just walk around and do random animations on random objects. You don't have the option of asking him for quests. He'll just walk by and give you them while you're doing other stuff. You could be working on Power Armor, you could be crafting, you could be in a conversation with someone else and he'll give you them.
Cleared out the ghouls.
You can talk to him to turn in the last quest he gave you, and he'll just give you another one. It seems impossible to clear your quest list outside of taking them and letting them fail and just avoiding coming in within like 100 feet of Preston.
I got word of a settlement that needs our help. I'll mark it on.
Oh, and charisma is just used basically for extra caps in the game, extra money. You keep pushing the more money option when accepting a quest, and it progresses with a speech check each time. That's it. There are 2, maybe 3 situations where that charisma speech check is used for actual conversations, like convincing someone to get off drugs or not to kill you, but those situations could be counted on one hand, and that hand has amputated fingers. No other special perk really enters the equation, ever. The only real exception is that intelligence is used in a specific questline, where you have the ability to repair a few objects or go and look for replacement parts. But outside of that, there are no perks that affect conversations. No intimidation, no intelligence, no perception. It doesn't enter that equation ever. And I absolutely, definitely want to commend Bethesda on improving many aspects of the game. The animations are much better. The first-person animations are actually not terrible now. The lighting is so much better. The vanilla textures are actually completely fine. Screen space reflections look great. Physically based-ish rendering looks awesome. The looting system is overhauled completely and is so much nicer. Faces look nicer. Facial animations aren't as awful before. The game has made definite progress. Though with all that said, the game still looks like it came out when Skyrim did. But still progress. In general, Fallout 4 doesn't even really pretend that you have a choice. It makes the choice for you. It just gives you a couple worthless responses to humor your existence. And it's aggravating. That's if it even lets you respond. And this is an example that I really want to stress. Very often in Fallout 4. And not just because I use the word very often a lot, or the phrase very often. Like, actually, I have a list of occasions often, on a notepad often. You're on a quest and you check out some notes laying around, or you log into some terminals and you read the notes and logs on there, and you learn about some history, or the person who gave the quest, or about the person you're working with, or maybe you find some information or history that could really be of interest to the quest giver. Or even better, you overhear a conversation in a completely different area on the map that you think would be really relevant to the person who gave you the quest. Oh man, this is really cool. I can't wait to get back and tell them all about what I learned. And there might be some really cool backstory in the conversation. Hey, you're back. Thanks for doing this for me. Here's your caps. Bye. No response. I can't even think of situations where I did get a response, or I was able to give a response. You're not even given the ability to bring up what you learned, or what you heard, or what you read, or the note that you picked up that is entirely relevant to what this person's going through. It's not like you have the option to ask, but they aren't interested. There is no physical ability to even bring up what you learned. Because why would the player want to discuss an interesting bit of history that this NPC obviously is not aware of? Why would the player care about discussing history and backstory? What is this, some sort of RPG? There are many times where you speak to an NPC, he tells you what he needs, you go and do what he needs, only for the situation to be different. You learn something when you do that quest. You go back to him and tell him what happened, and now he's just a normal NPC who won't speak with you. How fucking convenient. It's pathetic, and in a way I can't articulate insulting somehow. And the thing is, the writers and designers did write in some really interesting dialogue aspects. Each of your companions will comment on another companion if you switch to them. They'll have unique dialogue depending on who is going and who is staying, and it's often good. Like, really good.
Of course.
As you wish, Mum.
If it isn't Monsieur Codsworth, it is a pleasure to see you again.
Doubly so for me, Miss Curie. Don't worry, I'll keep the Master safe.
I'd like to travel together some more.
Then let us get underway.
Ah, Miss Curie. Never was there a more suitable replacement.
So gracious of you, Monsieur Codsworth. Until we meet again.
Or if you're in a specific story location, they'll comment in the middle of a story conversation and talk about how uneasy they are with it, or how much they think it's bullshit, or how interesting it seems to them. Or they'll comment on the environment directly. That stuff is great, and it's so much more cleverly done than it's ever been done in their games before. But that is basically window dressing. It's a nice aspect to an otherwise unneeded detail. I don't really need my companions to comment on what I'm doing. I just need them to carry things for me and yell, "Your time's up, you dirty little shit," or whatever when they get spotted and they're about to go kill someone. That's all we actually need. The framework of Fallout 4 as a game is so superior to previous games in my opinion, regardless of the perk system, which is still... I like it, but I know a lot of people don't. But that they don't populate that framework with quality materials. In a way, the game feels so unfinished story-wise. I have like 230, probably more, hours in this game, and I didn't feel like I actually did anything. Genuinely, I feel like nearly nothing happened. I have 100 hours in Witcher 3, and I could talk to someone for days about all the great things that happened. I have 130 hours in Wasteland 2, and I can talk for days about all the stuff that happened to that. I have 700 hours in Skyrim. Sure, a lot of it was modding, but I could talk for days about what all that happened in there. The filler of Fallout 4 is so apparent with its Radiant Quest bullshit, and how much of the game revolves around sending you to places you already cleared out to get an item that was probably already there. Previous games do this, but not nearly to the degree that Fallout 4 does it. Fallout 4 feels unfinished because even though the polish of it is remarkably good for a Bethesda game, the story feels like it ends halfway into it being mildly interesting. The factions feel half-baked, and the world feels empty and lacking mystery, and I think mystery is a key point. The settlement system is good, but it doesn't feel like it belongs. It's another one of those time sinks to boost playtime. There's so much repeat activity and filler to spread out the scraps of story elements that when you actually look back on a full playthrough, there's a huge amount of, so what exactly did I do in this game? And that statement is coming from someone who has like 190 hours in Borderlands 2, the icon of repeat gameplay. And I've beaten it maybe 25 times now, and I really enjoy it. Because even though it lacks with clever writing, it's at least entertaining and cheesy and has that ridiculous gameplay and weapons and encounters and all that procedural stuff. Fallout 4 has bland characters, a story which has a massive fucking pacing problem, and legendary weapons which are as insane as sometimes doing bleeding damage, or maybe it heals them, or maybe it does 3 shots. Holy shit, that's so crazy, I can't wait to get it. Not specifically fun or for entertaining editions, sometimes they do 50% more damage against robots, against super mutants, animals, humans. Wow.
Hey, I know you.
Another settlement
You're
is
that
sent word
Minuteman,
that they need
got
our
me.
help. I'll mark it
I
on your
really
map.
look up to you guys.
We can use
You
all the
guys
support
are
we can
great.
get. So
Yeah,
see what you
I
can
want
do
you
to
to
help.
have this. I hope you can find a use for it. I hope you realize how much you did for us.
You ought to be careful. I can fix most things, but people don't fix so easily.
We're in some real trouble here. I hope you can help.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
I don't think mods will really fix the problems of Fallout 4. Not the ones I'm complaining about. I don't think DLC will fix it, because I don't think the problems with Fallout 4 is lack of developers or lack of designers or not enough polish time. The issues I have, I think, stem from meetings and the planning and the writing that happened years and years ago before the game was even put together. It's a real shame. If I had a number rating for Fallout 4, it would probably land on 4, maybe 5 out of 10. The first 30 hours or so of exploration, questing, and story is the honeymoon phase. You feel like there's so much in this game to offer. It has that feeling like there's so much more to it, and that makes the game feel great because it's all about the horizon, all that stuff that's going to be. It's that feeling like you can't wait to get there. I mean, visually, it's a great upgrade. Almost feeling like Skyrim with a mild ENB built in. The audio is massively improved with so many more voice actors and actresses. The music is great. The gameplay is much improved as well. And in general, the Bethesda RPG is still greatly addicting. It's an addicting concept. You have loot, XP, and perks. People keep coming back to it. It still has me coming back to it while I write this. And I want to go in and try to get more perks. Was it worth my $60? Absolutely. Do I regret playing it? Nope. Will I get all the DLC for it? Absolutely. But I sure as shit won't give it a second playthrough.
Bunker Hill is like a home away from home. Only place caravan folk have
One
to
of the
mingle
prisoners
together,
told me what they went through at the prep school. I had no idea. And you did that by yourself, right? Here's the payout.
What did the prisoners say about the prep school?
Thanks.
I might be a doctor one day. Or maybe a sharpshooter.
You better let me have a look at you. Not many doctors out there on the road.
The hill owes you.
Excuse me.
Raiders will think twice about it.
I don't care. I just want my son back.
I under...
This isn't the end of your work. It's only the beginning. That brings me to my next point, to reorganize.
What do you think we should do?
We should be...
Hi.
Ready for the next mission, ma'am?
Thanks for watching, everybody. I specifically did not rewrite this one because this was sort of my passionate first draft. And this isn't a review. It's specifically focusing on the elephant in the room for this game. And I know that I'm not alone in how I feel about it. And I had to put this into a video form. You may disagree with it, and that's great. I hope you love the game, and I hope you keep playing it. Because I wish I was that. So anyways, thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. And I will talk to you later, because now I'm done with Fallout 4.